Welcome, dear brothers and sisters. In this video, we're discussing the spiritual gems comments for the week of December 8th to 14th, 2025. We extend you a warm welcome, and now let's jump right in. We're considering the book of Isaiah, chapter 6 to 8, and let's start with the first question. It comes from chapter 7, verses 3 and 4. Let's take a look at these verses. Jehovah then said to Isaiah, "Go out, please, to meet Ahaz, you and your son Shear-Jashub, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool by the highway of the laundryman's field. You must say to him, 'Take care to stay calm, don't be afraid, and don't lose heart because of these two stumps of smoldering logs, because of the hot anger of Rezin and Syria and the son of Remaliah.'" So, why did Jehovah extend salvation to wicked King Ahaz? The kings of Syria and Israel planned to dethrone King Ahaz of Judah and install in his place a puppet ruler, the son of Tabeel, a man who was not a descendant of David. This diabolical scheme could have the effect of interrupting the operation of the kingdom covenant with David. Jehovah extended salvation to Ahaz in order to preserve the line through which the promised Prince of Peace would come. Now let's move on to the next question. What spiritual gems from this week's Bible reading would you like to share? And let's start with number 1. This is chapter 6, verses 5 to 7. We read, "Then I said, 'Go to me. I'm as good as dead, for I'm a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, Jehovah of armies himself.' And that one of the seraphs flew to me, and in his hand was a glowing coal that he had taken with tongs from the altar. He touched my mouth and said, 'Look, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is removed and your sin is atoned for.'" We notice that Isaiah recognized that his lips were unclean, but God purified them. This teaches us that when our words or actions fail, we should go directly to Jehovah to receive forgiveness instead of remaining guilty. He wants to help us. Number 2, chapter 6, verse 8, we read, "Then I heard the voice of Jehovah saying, 'Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here I am, send me.'" It teaches us that we must have an attitude of availability. When Jehovah asked, "Whom shall I send?" Isaiah answered, "Here I am, send me." There are several ways to say "here I am." For example, when we pray each morning, when we're being willing to serve where there is a need, like need graders, or when we go out to the service, to the preaching work, even when we don't feel like it, or the weather is not the best, or we have some obstacles. Number 3, chapter 7, and let's read verse 2 to 4. We read, "A report was made to the house of David. Syria has joined forces with Ephraim. And the heart of Ahaz and the heart of his people began to tremble, like the trees of the forest shaking in the wind. Jehovah then said to Isaiah, 'Go out, please, to meet Ahaz,' and said, 'Take care to stay calm, don't be afraid, and don't lose heart because of these two stumps of smoldering logs, because of the hot anger of Rezin and Syria and the son of Remaliah.'" Okay, When the people's heart began to tremble, Jehovah said, "Be careful and stay calm. Don't be afraid." And this teaches us that when news or circumstances change or agitate us, we can tell ourselves, Jehovah is telling me, stay calm, don't fear. Number 4, chapter 7, verse 9, we read, "The head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is the son of Remaliah. Unless you have firm faith, you won't be firmly established." In this verse, Jehovah tells his people, unless your faith is strong, you won't be firmly established. This teaches us that we can identify an area where we're unstable and decide to specifically trust in Jehovah to have strong faith. Number 5. Chapter 7, verse 14, we read, "Therefore Jehovah himself will give you a sign. Look, the young woman will become pregnant and will give birth to a son, and she will name him Emmanuel." So the name Emmanuel is mentioned, and this means God is with us. When we attend our meetings and assemblies, we realize, as we discussed in the last Watchtower study, some friends, they notice in their first meeting, their first Christian meeting, that Jehovah is with us. Seeing our united brotherhood worshiping Jehovah, being taught by him, confirms to us that Jehovah is with us. Number 6. Now let's read chapter 8, verses 6 and 7. And we read, "Because this people has rejected the gently flowing waters of Shiloah, and they rejoice over Rezin and the son of Remaliah, therefore look, Jehovah will bring against them the mighty and vast waters of the river, the king of Assyria and all his glory. He'll come up over all the stream beds and overflow all its banks." So it mentions that the people rejected the gently flowing waters of Shiloah, but God brought powerful waters. This teaches us if we are in a calm time, we should value it. If we're in raging waters, we trust that Jehovah still controls the current. Number 7. Now let's read chapter 8 and verses 12 and 13. "You shouldn't call a conspiracy what these people calls a conspiracy. Don't fear what they fear. Don't tremble at it. Jehovah of armies, he's the one you should regard as holy. He's the one you should fear, and he's the one who should cause you to tremble." So it says, don't fear what they fear. Jehovah, it's him you should fear. And this teaches us that as Christians, we're not afraid of what this world fears. For example, death, the end of the world, the future, world rulers, opinions, fashions, pressures, etc. Because we know that we believe in, fear, and serve Jehovah. Number 8. Now chapter 8, verse 14, we read, "He'll become as a sanctuary, but as a stone to strike against, and as a rock to stumble over, to both houses of Israel, as a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem." It says, God will be like a sanctuary, but also like a stone to strike against. This teaches us that it's important to approach God with humility and reverence. He is a refuge for those who seek him, but a stumbling stone for those who approach with pride. Number 9. Chapter 8, verse 17, we read, I keep in expectation of Jehovah, who is hiding his face from the house of Jacob, and I'll hope in him. It teaches us that we live in a world without hope. In contrast, we as God's servants have a solid hope. We have placed our faith and trust in God, and we wait for what we don't see, as we saw in the JW's movies. Number 10. Chapter 8, verses 19 and 20, we read, And if they say to you, Inquire of the spirit mediums, or of the fortune tellers who chirp and mutter, is it not of their God that a people should inquire? Should they inquire of the dead in behalf of the living? Instead of they should inquire of the law and of the written confirmation? When they don't speak according to his word, they have no light. This verse says in the form of question, should not a people consult its God, consult or inquire the law? And this teaches us before seeking answers on social media, popular opinions, or superstitions, it's important to consult Jehovah. Open the Bible, pray, and look at the publications. Dear brothers and sisters, thank you so much for joining us in this consideration, in this discussion of the spiritual gems comments for this week. We hope you have a wonderful day and hope to see you in our next video. Bye for now.